Hello and welcome to Reporters Direct. Today I am sitting in Srinagar and we are covering the Lok Sabha polls in J&K. It is significant because this is the first election after the abrogation of Article 370. So much happened in the last 5 years. There was so much violence has been contained. The law and order situation has significantly improved. And in this election, what makes it most important is that the voter turnout that we saw in the first phase, which was in Srinagar constituency, 39% of voter turnout, which is massive because in the last Lok Sabha election in 2019, the voter turnout was just 13%. What is even more significant is that in places which were marred by militancy, hotbeds of militancy, including areas like Pulwama, where the horrific attack had taken place in 2019, in which 40 CRPF men were killed, including so many grenade attacks and other attacks happened in Pulwama. Another area, Shopian, which is again used to be a hotbed of militancy. Even these areas saw a significant voter turnout. In Shopian, the voter turnout was almost 45%, which used to be 2 to 3% normally. And in 2019 as well, it was not more than 2%. In fact, even Pulwama saw almost 37.5% of voter turnout, which used to be 3%, 2%, 1.5% in previous elections. So there are several reasons for that, and we will be discussing those in this Reporters Direct. You can send me your questions if you have any while we are talking. We have received a few questions from our subscribers, and I'll try to take them all. I will start with Mr. Abhijit Tanu's question. The question is, there is just about 38% voting in Srinagar. What is the reason behind this? Does it mean BJP and central government has failed to build the confidence with the people of Kashmir in the democratic process? What do you think can be done in future? Okay, so there are two ways to answer this question. First of all, when you say 38% of voting, voter turnout, this is not bad for Kashmir at all. Because like I mentioned initially, in 2019, this voter turnout was just 13%. In fact, it was in 1996 that first Kashmir saw a voter turnout of 40.5%. And it's after decades, after so many years, more than 20 years, that Kashmir has seen a 38% voter turnout, which is significant and which is noteworthy. In fact, you have asked what is the reason behind this. Now, there are several reasons behind this significant voter turnout. The first thing being a good, I won't say good governance, but a better law and order that has been maintained in the state. Now, when we speak to the police, they tell us that the militancy is at an all-time low. The stone pelting in the areas which were notorious for it has significantly declined. Then there are so many programs that the police, along with the local bodies, are doing to tell people that how important it is to be a part of the democratic process. But when we speak to the voters, what do they tell us? They tell us that why they are coming out in large numbers to vote now is because they need a representative, a political representative in the center. They tell us that they need a representative that could take their issues forward in the parliament, and that is the reason why they are coming out in large numbers. Now, it is significant to mention here that since 2019, of course, there has been no election in Kashmir, but also since 2018, when the last government collapsed, Kashmir has been under governor's rule. Now, the locals have this issue that they do not have any MLAs or a chief minister or anyone they can go to with their problems. That is a significant vacuum that has been created in Kashmir over these years, and that is what the main reason for this kind of voter turnout for people is. They are saying that they are tired of this rule of bureaucracy where, the governor is heading the government and you don't have any MLAs or people of your own to go and tell your problems to. In fact, this is not an assembly election. This is an election for member of parliament, but still they feel that if they don't select an MP who is from Kashmir, who is one of their own, who can represent them in the parliament, then this political vacuum is going to continue. And that is the reason why they want that someone from their own place, one Kashmiri who understand local issues, a Kashmiri who understand the significance of these issues, local issues. I will list it out as we go ahead in this conversation, the real issues that voters talk about. So they need some sort of political representation, and which is why it is making them come out in large numbers. Now, you've asked that does it mean BJP and central government has failed to build the confidence with the people of Kashmir in the democratic process? I won't say that they have failed to build the confidence in the democratic process, but I would certainly say that people are not happy with the kind of governance they have received in the last 5 years, and which is why it is pushing them to elect their own representative who can actually talk about their issues in the parliament, and which is what is bringing them out. Second question is by Shashank Ranjan, and he asks, how have the people in Kashmir Valley seen BJP not contesting? Paradoxically, the governance is with the center, and BJP not contesting certainly points to low confidence of the party after abrogation of 370. Image of Naya Kashmir gets a blow. No, definitely. I mean, BJP is not contesting in Kashmir for a very reason that is known to everybody. They do not have a chance. Here, people are not going to vote for the BJP, especially because even now, 5 years have passed since Article 370 was abrogated, but still somewhere people feel that they were deceived, that they were taken for a ride, they were not consulted because before such a big decision was taken, and their identity in a way was taken away. This is a sentiment, this is something that we hear every now and then when you go and speak to people on the ground. They keep telling you that they took away our identity, they took away our rights. They took away something so precious from us, and which is why they will never be empowered here. So that is one sentiment that you would get, that sense you would get across all constituencies in Kashmir. In fact, there's a very strong anti-BJP wave. And I think the political party does know that, this is what the feedback that they must be getting it from the ground, and which is why they have not fielded any candidate, because honestly, it would be a waste of time. But what is happening is here is that there is a party, Apni Party, which is contesting in Kashmir. In fact, it has fielded its candidates in significant constituencies like the one in Srinagar. And this is the party which is apparently getting support from the BJP. In fact, today itself, Mr. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, is here, and he held political meetings with a lot of people. And from the feedback that we were getting from sources, we were told that he did meet certain people from the Apni Party as well. And also, he gave out a larger message saying that Kashmir should vote in good numbers, but it should not vote for dynast parties like the NC, PDP, or the Congress. So the people are now joining the dots, and they are saying, see, now he's openly, although he's not naming Apni Party, but openly vouching for Apni Party. So there is a sense that, Apni Party is being backed by BJP, and it's a BJP proxy. Some people are also calling it agents of the BJP. In fact, we did an interview with one of the candidates, Ashraf Mir, who contested from Srinagar. And although he spoke to us in detail about the ideas he has, in fact, he told us that, for Kashmir, 370 is a chapter which is over, and people should not, cry over it now. It is time to move on. Development is the key agenda that should be for parties or any politician that comes to power. And he says that for Apni Party, it is important that once it comes to power, it maintains friendly relations with the center. They said that he told me that if at all they come to power, they would ensure that they work in tandem with the center, with the BJP, so that they can take Kashmir to new heights. Now, I think this is what the people are also talking about. That Apni Party is basically a proxy of the BJP, and always talks about pro-BJP, has a pro-BJP stance, which is why they are also not very popular in the valley. Next question is by Arun Dhungde, and he's saying, how has the people taken or accepted or silently accepted or not accepted the abrogation of Article 370. So, like I mentioned in my previous answer, this is not something that has gone away completely. People do talk about it. People still are upset about it. People still feel hurt about it. In fact, when you talk to them and you bring up this issue of Article 370, they tell you that nothing has really changed on the ground as far as development is concerned. The key issues in Kashmir still remain very basic, like bijli, pani, and roads. So everybody's talking about that, how poor the road connectivity is here, how there's no electricity, and they keep looking at the bulb, how there's no water, not even water to drink. And then unemployment is a big, big issue that people talk about across constituencies. So they ask one question whenever you ask them about abrogation of Article 370, and they say that, when 370 was abrogated, our identity was snatched away from us. We were told that we'll be given better governance, but that also did not happen. In fact, in this election, that has become a very, very key point, that these issues were not taken care of by the current administration, and that is why they need a person, a Kashmiri, who can actually go to the parliament and represent their issues in the Lok Sabha, and that is why they require a political representation. So 370, of course, I won't say that people has completely accepted what happened, but there are certain good things that have happened, like the law and order I spoke about have considerably improved. In this election, what was significant was that there were no boycott calls or there were no hartals, because in whenever there used to be elections in Kashmir, this was a norm that there'll be a boycott call or there'll be a hartal. Nobody will go out and vote. But this time that did not happen. In fact, I mentioned in my first question that I answered that in a place like Pulwama or Shopian, which used to see such less voter turnout because it used to be marred with incidents of stone pelting and on a daily basis. So in those areas also, people came out in large numbers to exercise their right to vote. So that is a significant change that is there on the ground. The hartal calls have ended. Stone pelting has in fact, there's been no incident of stone pelting in the last so many years. And all that the law and order has considerably improved. But now when you speak to people on the ground, like the local leaders, like we interviewed Mehbooba Mufti today, PDP leader Mehbooba Mufti, she's of the opinion that if you jail all the people, if you suppress so many people, the law and order will be okay, because there is people are scared to say anything. People do not have a voice in J&K. People cannot resist. People cannot people who were, say, involved in any of these activities have been taken away and jailed. In fact, a lot of innocents, she alleged, have been taken away and jailed in different states. So there are, views or counter views that you'll get on the ground as far as 370 is concerned. But what my assessment of the situation is that law and order has considerably improved. There is no doubt about it. The tourists are coming in, the shops are open, the hartals have gone, there are no stone pelting incidents. But development is a key concern that still remains, because that is something that that the governance, that the administration in the last 5 years has not been able to address. Then there is another question by Mr. Sunil Mansukhani. It says the opinion NC and PDP leadership, whether they have indeed feathered their own nest or worked in constraining circumstances for the people. I think I've missed a sentence in this question. I think there may be an issue copy pasting it. I will move on to the next question. Mr. Gopal Pillai, why only 39% of people voted? Would you expect a massive turnout? No, but this is a massive turnout. 39% wasn't expected, and especially, like I said, that this is an election after abrogation of Article 370. It could have dipped to even 1%. People may have, said that we do not want to vote, we don't want to be part of this democratic process at all, because our identity was taken away from us, and we are hurt, so we are not going to come out and vote at all. But it still turned out to be significantly a lot, because 39%, like I said, this much voting we had seen 20 to 25 years ago in 1996, which was 40%. So in the last so many decades, I mean, in the last 2 decades, we haven't seen a voter turnout like this. So I would say that it was a positive. And in like I said, like in places like Pulwama and Shopian, which were hotbeds of militancy, the voter turnout was significant, which also shows that, people do want to come out and actually be a part of democratic process. This is the first time, like I have been visiting Kashmir even after abrogation of Article 370, going around speaking to people. There used to be so many slogans, anti-India slogans, talking about not being part of India, about criticizing the government. But this time, I didn't see any of that sort on the ground, anything of that sort on the ground. In fact, there were so many political rallies, this political process which was absent in Kashmir in so many years. Actually, it was amazing to see that it has returned, because on the roads you would see cavalcades and you'll see people campaigning for a particular political party. So many people joining in. So this is something which is completely absent, and this is the political vacuum that I think these people now need to want to or wish to fill, which is why they are coming out, and it's really heartening to see that. The next question is from Sanjay Tiwari. He asks, how is the security situation in Srinagar? What about the optimism in the general people about their future within Indian Union after 370 abrogation? So I think I have already spoken in detail about this. The security situation in Srinagar has significantly improved as far as law and order is concerned. But again, the issues, the civic issues, the local issues that affect any resident have not been taken care of. Like, for example, we reported and we did a story for ThePrint right before Srinagar went to polls on the key issues here. So people tell us that inflation is a big issue. The prices of basic things have gone up considerably. Things like saag, things like rice, things like oil, gas, all these things. Secondly, there is no electricity. Electricity is a big issue. They say that we keep looking at bulbs, we keep waiting for electricity, but the power is a massive issue. They also say that, it is despite us generating power, we are the ones who are not given power, and we are the ones who are waiting for electricity and we don't get it. Water is a big issue, and unemployment is something that concerns this area a lot, because whichever constituency we went to, all the youngsters started talking about it and saying that I am somebody who has done I'm a graduate, I'm somebody who's done MSc, but where are the jobs that were promised to us by the central government, saying that once 370 goes, so many avenues will open up, so many jobs will be created, job creation will happen, and this is good for Srinagar, good for Kashmir. Where are all those promises? What has happened? So this is what is missing, and this is what that's why people are not convinced with this argument that after 370 development happened, or job creation happened, because those basic necessities still remain absent in Kashmir. Okay, then there is another question. I see only videos in social media only of Kashmiris praising Modi. They appear to be least bothered about the abrogation as commoners. The only ones with great angst are the politicians who consider it an emotional issue. Does the poor care about abrogation? So, I don't think we can, dissociate 370 from Kashmiris or Kashmir at all, because anyone, even if people who are really poor, they don't understand really what 370 was or what it entailed, they associate 370 with their identity, and they feel that whatever problems that they are going through today, whether it is unemployment or it is inflation, is because their identity was taken away and they were left leaderless. So they think that all their leaders were taken away by the center, their identity was snatched, and their political representation was finished. So that is why they say that 370 is something that we need back. Because that was our sar ka taj. They call it sar ka taj. वो हमारा सर का ताज है, वो हमें वापस चाहिए. So that's why if you look at the election pitch of National Conference, it all is around this message that, if say they win 370, they will talk about restoration of 370. Now if it is practical or just an emotional appeal, that is for people to decide. But NC's election pitch is that they will work on reviving or getting 370 back. Now, in fact, we interviewed the Srinagar candidate of National Conference, Mr. Rahula, and asked him that, the Supreme Court has also decided on 370. How are they saying that they are going to bring it back? So he said that it is difficult. It is difficult, and we understand this, that we can't bring it back right away. Even if we win, if NC wins all the 3 seats in Kashmir and all the 3 MPs reach parliament, it is going to be difficult for just 3 MPs to talk about revival of 370 or getting it back. But he hopes that eventually, if like-minded people and like-minded parties who believe in the idea of federalism come together, then they may be able to achieve numbers in future to maybe start this conversation again. So it is much more of an emotional appeal for people, because it strikes a chord with everyone. 370, they feel that once it was taken away, it actually took away the life away from Kashmir, and which is why it needs to be brought back. And this is the reason why most people are actually supporting National Conference. Now, on the other hand, I spoke about Apni Party. When I spoke to the Apni Party candidate, he had a more practical approach. He said that, people of Kashmir have been taken for a ride for all these years. And these leaders, including Umar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti, who talk about 370 or reinstating 370, are just fooling people and basically seeking votes by making this emotional appeal. This is what Apni Party had to say. But when you talk to people on the ground, although they do talk about these key issues, like I mentioned, bijli, pani, sadak, unemployment, which affects their day-to-day life and is actually the main thing which really affects them. But 370 cannot be taken, it cannot be distanced from them at all. They do talk about 370 and how taking their identity away has made them miserable. The next question is from Mr. Jay Shankar. He's saying it has been 5 years of president's rule in JNK, so people may have been keen on having assembly elections, also along with the national elections. Did people parties show any disappointment about not having elections altogether, like say AP and Orissa? Of course. I mean, I think assembly elections is the key demand of most people when you talk to them about elections. Now, although this, whenever we speak to voters, they say that we want political representation. Who do we go to? We have no one. This is across constituencies. All voters, whoever you speak to, will have the same thing to say, that we don't have any representation. We don't know how to where to go to with our problems. Just imagine a place where we don't have an MLA. Who do we go and cry to? There are just bureaucrats sitting in offices and doing their work. They don't care about us because they don't have any accountability. The bureaucrats are not the ones who will come to us for votes. Then why should they listen to us? And it is absolutely correct. Kashmir has been without an assembly since 2018 and without a chief minister since 2018. So, of course, it is affecting people, and this is what they want. In fact, one of the key demands of the people is complete statehood and immediate elections, assembly elections, where they can elect their representatives, the MLAs, and have a chief minister, so that they can at least a person who knows about Kashmir and can start some sort of developmental work. They say that we have been left in a limbo, just at the mercy of a governor who doesn't care, who doesn't meet us, and at the mercy of these bureaucrats who do not care at all. So we want, if say assembly elections happen now, we will vote in even more large numbers. So in fact, the voters tell us that if right now 39% was the voter turnout in Srinagar, if it would have happened alongside assembly elections, the voter turnout would have been much, much more. In fact, we were today in the Baramulla constituency that is going to polls on the 20th of May. And this exactly was the sentiment, that after this, we want assembly elections, and this is what is the need of the hour. In fact, Supreme Court has also said that the elections should happen before 30th of September, but the dates, but there's no plan as such that has come to our knowledge as to what will happen. However, everybody, including the political leaders of regional parties here and the local population, are hoping for the best, that assembly elections take place as soon as possible, and at least Kashmir is given that status that it had lost in 2018 and a chief minister, because right now people say that we are just roaming around like headless chickens and we don't know who to go to, who to speak to. This is what is required in Kashmir. Moving on to the next question, by Sandhya Sundar. Have there been calls to boycott the elections? Are people voting despite the fear? So yes, I think I mentioned that in detail, that there have been no calls of boycott in this election, and that is a significant improvement that we have seen on the ground from the past years, because it used to be a norm in Kashmir. That's why the voter turnouts used to be very, very big, 2%, 3%, 10%, 5%, 13%. Like in Srinagar constituency in 2019, it was 13%. So this is a significant improvement, and the lack of boycott calls in this election is also seen as a very positive thing by even the regional parties and local leaders we spoke to. And they said that, because Kashmir is now desperate to have a representative, and they want that their voices should be heard, which is why they are taking to ballot now to basically show, to exercise their choice. And this is why they are coming out in large numbers. People are, of course, voting. You're asking if people are voting despite the fear. So like I said, that the situation on the ground as far as law and order is concerned has significantly improved in a couple of years. Of course, there have been incidents, sporadic incidents of killings, but not, not as much. So people, and plus there's a big role that the police played in this, along with civil society groups who have gone to people for awareness campaigns, etc., to tell them that, it is important to exercise your right and, to choose your elected representative. And that is why it became a success. Then another question is by Yogi Pandya. You say in your article that there are elections in Kashmir. However, the BBC is reporting on their website that there are no elections there since the abrogation of Article 370. Please advise what is actually happening. No, of course, elections are happening. The Lok Sabha polls in the fourth phase, Srinagar constituency voted. And on the 20th of May, the second phase of J&K elections and fifth phase of Lok Sabha polls, Baramulla constituency is going to polls. And on the 25th of May, Anantnag Rajouri constituency will be voting. I am not sure about the BBC news that you have followed, but we have been covering elections, the polling. You must have seen headlines in most media organization outlets, most national media, national papers, and other channels covering it. The voter turnout was 39%. There are very much elections happening in Kashmir. Then there is another question by Radhakrishnan. Are you convinced that the answers you get from the common man is completely honest? Now, that's a very good question, because as a journalist, we face that very often, because whenever you're reporting on the ground, it is very, very essential to basically re-verify the facts or whatever you pick from the ground. Now, if a common man is telling me that, that he or she was tortured, army was involved, because this used to happen a lot in Kashmir. I've reported extensively from different parts, including interiors. These were the common allegations of human rights violation or, some sort of atrocities by the army. So once a person tells you a story or something that has happened to him or her, after listening to that, a reporter has to verify those facts from different sources and ensure that whatever story is going out or whatever report is going out is factually correct and has basically responses from all stakeholders. Our job is extremely difficult that way, because because a reporter who reports on such sensitive issues is of course accountable to the leader, and we make sure that when we are reporting from the ground and picking up these details from people, we re-verify these facts before putting them out, so that no misinformation is spread. All the stakeholders are asked these questions, so that the real story goes out. So of course, when we are speaking to common men, or people in general, of course they are honest. Why wouldn't they be? But whatever we are told, we verify, re-verify, and fact check everything that we put out. One question from Mr. Arun. He says, in most of the reporting that I saw on YouTube from ThePrint and London Top, I found that clean drinking water, 24/7 electricity and roads are a primary concern of the voters. Is that assessment correct? And if so, why government is not working on them? Like I spoke in detail about this as well. These are the key issues that you will find across constituencies in Kashmir. Everybody is talking about it. I must have spoken to almost more than 100 people. And in most constituencies, these are the common issues that you would come across, that, world is progressing, but Kashmir is still, doesn't have these basic amenities like water, electricity, and water, electricity, and roads. Now, people also talk about DDCs, these are the district development councils. So the panchayats, the role of these local bodies. So when you ask them about what they have done, they complain about corruption. They say that the government, there has been no government in Kashmir since 2018. There is no chief minister. In 2019, there were parliamentary elections, there were MPs, but Kashmir has a governor. It doesn't have a statehood. So people say that, this governance is not what we want. We need our MLAs who would listen to us, even if they don't want to, because after 5 years, they would again have to come to us for votes. So there is some sort of accountability there. When you ask about DDC and panchayats, they tell you that most of these local bodies just work for money. They get funds from center, and then they build their own houses. They pocket that money. Nothing reaches the common public. So that is one concern that most of the people spoke about. In fact, when we went to interiors in the villages, the roads are in bad shape. There is an issue of electricity or water. People are facing this problem. In fact, unemployment is also a major issue because not as many jobs have been created, although some recruitments did take place after Article 370 was abrogated and the governor came and the promises were made. Some recruitments did happen, but not as many. So which is why the people are not happy at all with the governance and with the administration and whatever they did in the last 5 years. And these key issues take precedence over most things in Kashmir. And that's why it, of course, is an election issue. But since, like I mentioned, it would be more of an issue in the assembly election, because there the people will be electing their MLAs. Now, in this election, parliamentary election, it is more about a generic thing of how we need to reclaim our lost identity and need to put our own political representative in the parliament who can talk about the region's interests. So that is what the basic sense that we get from the ground is whenever we travel. Next question is from Srini. How do you see the expectations from the people of Kashmir on their share of participating in the India growth story? What do they see as their biggest win? And what is their biggest pain point? The pain point I have mentioned in detail is the lost identity. They still relate to Article 370 as their identity, as something that has been snatched away from them. When you talk about what do they see as the biggest win? I mean, right now, they are talking just about political representation, and they want to participate in the democratic process to make sure that happens. So this is the first time, like I said, that I have not seen or heard any anti-India slogans or some people, saying that we don't belong to India. Because I remember when I first came to Kashmir, that was before Article 370 was abrogated, they would say you've come from India. So most of them didn't really think that they were part of India. So that sentiment has gone. So I think that's a big achievement, that they're not talking about India as some distant nation. They are talking about being part of that democratic process by electing their own representative. Now, most of the people are also saying, like political analysts and observers who we spoke to, they're saying that they are basically trying to get back at the government by using their vote. And they want to, that's why, I'll speak about one candidate that whom we came across in Baramulla. His name is Engineer Rashid. He is contesting from Baramulla, and he is up against Omar Abdullah, who's the candidate for NC. So we think so when we talk about what people want, they talk about how Engineer Rashid was the voice of Kashmir. Now, Engineer Rashid is a person who was arrested by National Investigation Agency in 2019 on charges of terror funding. He's in Tihar jail, so he's not the one who's out, but he's still fighting the election as an independent candidate from Tihar jail. And for him, his son Abrar Rashid is the one who's campaigning. We went to one of his rallies and we saw that so many people, especially youngsters, were part of that rally. When we spoke to the Abrar Engineer Rashid's son, he told us that he doesn't have the money or the logistics to have, to arrange for cars or to arrange for fuel or to arrange for banners. But these are people, and their love for Engineer Rashid and what he has done for the people of Kashmir by basically giving them a voice is why he has garnered so much support. Now, people are saying that Engineer Rashid, he was also an MLA from Langet constituency in 2014. So he has done some work for the people. But when you talk to the opposition parties about Engineer Rashid, they tell you, and even security forces, they tell you that he had a soft separatist stand, and that is what struck a chord with the people. He is the one who always spoke about human rights violations. He spoke about, how the army army atrocities on people and other things. And even when Article 370 was abrogated, he was a very, very strong voice, who voiced his concerns about how the identity of Kashmiris was snatched away and, the repercussions of it. So he has become very popular in Baramulla, and people say that, through these voters, these voters who are especially youngsters, and let me tell you that these are first-time voters. These are people who have never voted before. And so these are the voters who are basically trying to tell the Indian government, the BJP government, that here we are electing our candidate and this is our response to your suppression. This is our response to the kind of treatment that you have given the Kashmiris. So basically they're finding an outlet through this electoral process, and they want to give a response to the Indian government through voting. But that is all, that's what the democratic process is all about. So he is becoming very popular. So these are the kind of interesting dynamics that are on here in Kashmir. In fact, he's giving a very, very tough fight to the NC candidate Omar Abdullah. And Baramulla constituency, I must tell you, was a bastion of national conference. But this time it will be interesting to see which party wins. Then there is a question saying, I went to Kashmir with my last year. In my last year, I interacted with some locals. I came to know that they are not interested or grateful to our country. I would like to know whether the media people exaggerating or government is hiding the real situation. I'm not sure what you mean by grateful to our country. Like I mentioned in my previous answer, that there was a disconnect as far as them Kashmiris calling themselves Indians. But let me tell you that they have been very, they are very famous for being very hospitable, because Kashmir thrives on tourism. So whenever people, if any one of you who comes to Kashmir goes around, the hospitality is excellent. The people will welcome you with, they're very warm, they're very welcoming. They'll tell you about, Kashmir, and, they'll take you to places, they'll feed you good food. So hospitality is not something, I have seen better at any other place than Kashmir. So, because of course, their identity or their other battles aside, they also have to earn a livelihood. the livelihood of Kashmiris essentially depends on tourism mostly. I mean, a large part of it, apart from agriculture and other businesses. So, which is why you feel that when you interact with locals, of course they are grateful that people are coming, visiting them, because that's how their livelihoods are being run. But then this question of identity taken away always lingers, and that them being hurt about what was done to them without their consultation is always a question that is asked whenever we go on the ground, and what they have really achieved after 370 that was promised. That's the question they ask. But through this democratic process, I mean, this election, it is heartening to see that so many people are coming out to exercise their votes. In fact, we traveled across Baramulla today. I just came back from my reporting for a long day at work. After speaking to people in Baramulla town, Kupwara, Handwara, Bandipura. So we went to all these places to get a general sense from voters as to what they want, what are the key issues. And like I said, the sentiment across these constituencies is the same. Political representation for Kashmir, filling that vacuum that has been there for so many years, and having one of their own person who could make their voice heard in the parliament. These are the key issues. And of course, alongside these issues are issues that we spoke about, local civic issues, unemployment, that will become even more important when J&K goes to polls for the assembly elections, which hopefully will happen in the next couple of months, as Supreme Court has already set a deadline for 30th September. So these were the questions that we had. Thank you so much for joining us in Reporters Direct. Please keep following our coverage from the ground. We are getting you stories, interviews of political leaders, voices from the ground as to what the situation in Kashmir is, what voters want. Keep following. We'll keep posting a lot of content, and we are grateful that you joined us in this conversation. I hope you've got answers to all your questions. Thank you so much for watching.